Hello everyone and welcome to the Mindset Model Podcast, the house of good vibes and unicorn energy. I am your number one hype girl cheering you through the game of life. On this podcast, I am here to help you unleash your best self, to bring your dreams to life using the art of mindset and manifestation. Let's create magic. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mindset Model Podcast. Now today, I want to talk about something we all need more of in life, and that, my loves, is fun. Specifically, the kind of pure, unfiltered joy that we had as kids. And that might be quite a long time ago for many of us, but can you just remember how much fun we used to have? The things that made us feel alive, excited, and free. And most importantly, how can we actually bring that magic into our adult lives? So, I'm going to start off with a bit of a story, because you know me, I love a story. I'm going to take you back to when I was between 8 and 12 years old. I had the most magical years of my childhood between this time. So we lived in a house just on the outskirts of the centre of Bristol. It was nothing fancy, this house. You know, it was a rented home just in an ordinary neighbourhood. But to me, this house was amazing. It was extraordinary. The garden was enormous. It was wild and full of possibilities. And honestly, the garden became my entire world. And then I met Shannon. So Shannon was my next door neighbour and my absolute best friends. As soon as we started speaking to each other, we just hit it off. We were like two peas in a pod, and both of us were completely obsessed with nature, animals, and adventure. And at this time, this was the era when The Lion King had just come out, the original, and we were wildlife mad. And I remember as well, this was the time when you would shop in Tesco's and you would get like the Lion King window stickers, which everybody wanted. And we literally had, I don't even know, well, you couldn't even see out of our windows. We had that many stickers. And then on Sundays, this is when we would watch David Attenborough on BBC Two. We just loved it, and we were completely mesmerised by the wonders of the natural world. And every single day after school, I would race straight outside, shouting for Shannon. I would literally stand at the fence, being like, "Shannon, Shannon," because back then you don't have mobile phones or anything like that. And then Shannon would come running out, and then in minutes, we would literally be in adventure mode. We named the trees that were in our gardens and made them our friends. We created lots of really exciting potions with plants and flowers. And I even had pet slow worms as well, which I loved. I made an amazing habitat for them. I had 3 slow worms. One was chocolate, vanilla and blueberry. We had pet snails as well, and we made like little houses for them, and we made like this little snail circus thing going on. And I had this massive great big snail called Big Mama, and it was a whole thing. But our ultimate mission in the garden was to get down to the river and see the kingfishers, because we both loved the kingfishers. So at the bottom of the garden, I had a really thick, tangled mess of brambles. And behind that was the river. Now, in Shannon's garden, she actually had a gate that led down and some steps to the river, but she obviously wasn't allowed to go down there because, you know, we were young and it was dangerous, and the river at the bottom of the garden was so fast. And I literally had zero access, as I said, to this river. But I was like, do you know what? I'm actually going to make a tunnel that is going to go through this. Who even does that? I do. So what I did was I got the gardening shears and my brother's skateboard, and I used my brother's skateboard. I kneeled on it on the floor and I slowly carved a secret passage through these brambles, and it was a proper mission. It took me weeks, but eventually I had made this tunnel through the brambles. It was quite a few meters long, and yeah, it was exciting. And I remember when we were working on it as well, Shannon would come over sometimes and we were, both helping to build this tunnel. And I remember this massive, great big green grasshopper with a spiky back just jumped out, and we were both like, wow, this is amazing. It's as if we'd literally seen like a saber-toothed tiger. And at the time as well, I had this obsession with my encyclopedia, and I ran inside as fast as I could to get my encyclopedia, because we didn't have Google back then. I couldn't literally look at a phone and be like, oh, that's a so-and-so grasshopper. And just looking through this encyclopedia, finding out what all the different bugs were, it was just so fun. So then came the big day. So the tunnel had been made. Shannon and I made a secret pact that we were going to sneak through the gate. So she was going to go through her gate and I was actually going to crawl through the tunnel, and we would meet where my hidden gate was. So I made this tunnel, and as you got through the tunnel there was this really old wooden gate. It probably hadn't been used for about 10-15 years, so I crawled through and it was just amazing. And I met Shannon at the other side, and then we took the steps down to the river. It was literally like we had discovered a lost world, and it was like the air smelt really earthy and fresh, and the water was just rushing past us as we stood there. Our eyes were wide open, and we were just hoping and waiting that we would spot a kingfisher. It was just pure magic, just something as simple as that, which literally became our whole life. It's fantastic. And then Mrs. Shoot got involved. Oh yes, Mrs. Shoot. So Mrs. Shoot was our 95-year-old neighbour, and she was my side neighbour, but because we had really, really low fences, she was always watching us. Obviously, she probably just really enjoyed watching like two girls having lots of fun in the garden, living our best life. She would literally sit on her garden step, just looking through the window, and then sometimes she would fall asleep in her house, but we could really clearly see through her window. She'd literally doze off and her mouth would be wide open, catching flies. We found it hilarious, and we would just like start giggling because, as kids do, we find things like that hilarious. So we just had our magical adventure, sneaked down to the river, and that night I was tucked up in bed. It must have been about 8 o'clock at night, and because it was summer, it was still light. I had my window open, and where I had my bedroom window open, I could hear my mum go outside, and then I could hear two voices. One was Mrs. Shoot and one was my mum. And I was literally just dozing off to sleep. And then I heard Mrs. Shoot saying, oh, the girls, they've been down to the river and it's really dangerous, in my best 95-year-old woman voice there. And I thought, shit, she is literally dobbing us in. She is snitching on us. And with that, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I could hear my mum shut the kitchen door. I could hear her footsteps going through the kitchen, through the landing, up the stairs towards my bedroom. I was like, oh, she's coming, she's coming. So she opened the door and she was like, Sarah, have you been down to that river? And I did the classic pretend to be asleep, the trick, the one. And I was like, what? Oh, I'm asleep. What's happening? I'm so confused. But that did work. She was just like, what's going on? And I had to confess. And yes, we did get told off, but was it worth it? Abso-bloody-lutely. So fast forward 25 years later. Even today, I continue this adventure. I go to my local wetland centre, Slimbridge. It sits by the river. It's beautiful, and I watch the kingfishers for hours. I still look for weird and wonderful insects and creatures. I still walk through the trees like I am stepping into a new exciting world. And you know what? I know that Shannon does the same. She's in Vancouver now. She's on her own magical adventures, hiking through the forest, exploring nature, spotting incredible wildlife. I see her photos on Facebook, and it makes me so happy to know that we've never lost that part of ourselves. So here is my challenge for you. Think back to your childhood. What made you feel alive? What did you love doing so much that time disappeared? What brought you pure, unfiltered joy? Now, can you bring that magic back into your life this week? Because that is the secret to happiness. We're not just here to work, stress, tick off to-do lists. We are here to live. We are here to feel joy, and sometimes the clues to our happiness have been there all along, hidden in our childhood memories. So this week, I challenge you to do something fun, just for the sake of it. And when you do, make sure you tag me in on Instagram, send me a message, and just share your story. I would love to hear about your magical adventure. So go and have some fun, live your best life, and I will see you in the next episode.